Hi everybody. Welcome back from spring break. We are in my living room and it looks like this is going to be our new classroom for a little while. So, at least for this week. So, I'm going to teach you your math lessons from here. Now, there's some positive things about having your math lesson on a video. For those of you that sometimes thought I went too fast in class, this is going to be perfect because when I do something on the board, you can just push the space bar or pause and pause your video, work your problem, and then you can check it by listening to me. Or if you need to stop and write something, you can just pause it. You can pause me whenever you want and then just continue right on with the lesson. Okay, so for some of you, that'll be a real benefit. Today, our lesson is reducing fractions. And I want to start with, I want you to turn to lesson 81 in your packet that I gave you, or your big folder. You can go ahead and get the lesson out. It'll probably be easier to take out of the rings. And we're just going to start with the lesson practice like we usually do in class. And I'm going to walk you through. Okay. Now, you might say that we don't need a lesson on reducing fractions because you've been reducing fractions since Christmas. But I want to make sure, well, and some of you since 4th grade. But I want to make sure you know and understand mentally what you're doing when you reduce fractions. So look at A on your worksheet. It says reduce 8/12 by dividing 8/12 by 4/4. Now, why did they pick or choose to divide 8/12 by 4/4? Well, remember all the factoring we've been doing this year. The reason you've been factoring numbers this year is so that you can reduce fractions. Okay? So let's find all of the factors of 8. 1 times 8 and 2 times 4, right? Now let's find all the factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. What is the greatest common factor, or the GCF, of both 8 and 12? The largest factor that they both have in common is 4. And that's why they chose to reduce this by 4. You have to divide the top by 4 and the bottom by 4. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. And 12 divided by 4 is 3. Leaving you with 2/3 as a reduced form of 8/12. Now let me show you that in a picture. Okay? You can pause the video here if you want to draw your circles, but I want you to draw 2 circles or 2 pies, and we're going to compare these fractions. Okay, the first one we're going to divide into 12 pieces because the denominator always represents all of the pieces that we have in a pie or a square or whatever shape we have or fraction we have. So since we have to have 12 pieces, I'm going to divide it into fourths, and then I know that since 3 times 4 is 12, I'll need to make 3 pieces out of each section. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 lines here, 2 lines here, 2 more, and 2 more. That equals 12 pieces. And I'm going to shade in, let me use a different color for you. I'm going to shade in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go, 8 pieces. And what I want you to see is that if I divide this circle into thirds, okay, 3 parts, there we go, I want you to see that 2/3 is actually exactly the same as 8/12. I'm going to color this 2/3 in here. And I'm going to erase these extra lines in here in pieces so that you can see that they are both exactly 2/3. 8/12 equals 2/3. Now that's the end of lesson 81. I want you to finish the lesson practice and then check your answers. I want you to pause the video here and check your answers in a minute. I'm going to put the answers to the lesson practice on the board, but I want you to do them all first and then check them. Okay, hi everybody. We're back. I hope you did your lesson practice. Now we're going to check it and see if you got the right answers.
I didn't.
Allie's in here listening to us, so she might be making smart aleck comments, and we'll try to shush the peanut gallery back there. Okay, so for B, you should have gotten 3/8 because the reason this cannot be reduced is why? 3 is a prime number. There are only two factors for a prime number, 1 and 3. So if 3 does not go into 8, it cannot be reduced. Okay, for C, 3/8 minus 1/8 gives you 2/8. The greatest common factor is 2. Again, 2 is the only even prime number. So there are only two factors, 1 and 2. 2 has to go into both the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator. 2 divided by 2 gives you 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, 1/4. D, 3/10 plus 3/10 is 6/10, and 2 is the greatest common factor. Both of these numbers are even, so we know that 2 will always go into even numbers. So we divide the top and the bottom by 2 to get 1/3. 2/3 times 1/2. Now this is different. Remember that when you multiply fractions, you do not have to have a common denominator at the bottom. You can just multiply straight across. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 2/6 reduces to 1/3.
No, it doesn't.
Allie, yes it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes it does. 2 is a prime number. There are only two factors, 1 and 2. 2 is the only factor that can go in.
Prime number.
What?
That doesn't make 2 a prime number.
Yes, that is what makes a number a prime number, is when they
twice.
only have two factors. Okay, don't listen to her, guys. Okay, cross out F. We're not doing F. G, 1 and 3/9 reduces to 1 and 1/3. The greatest common factor is 3. Again, 3 is a prime number. There are only two factors, 1 and 3. H, 2 and 6/9. The greatest common factor is 3. So that reduces to 2 and 2/3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 2 and 5/10 reduces to 2 1/2. J, 1 and 1/4 plus 2 and 1/4, you should get 3 and 2/4, which reduces to 3 and 1/2. For K, 1 and 1/8 plus 5 and 5/8 is 6 and 6/8. 1 plus 5 is 6, and 1/8 plus 5/8 is 6/8. Reduces to 6 and 3/4. 5 and 5/12 minus 1 and 1/12 equals 4 and 4/12. What was the greatest common factor of 4/12? The 4. 4 goes into 4 once, and 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 and 1/3.